Hi everyone, Gary Waterman here. It's 16th of January 2024. I thought I'd strike whilst the iron's hot and do a little video on the Royal Mail scandal and Fujitsu. Now, hopefully you've all seen it on the news. It's one of the largest IT scandals ever, but it's actually a very small part of a much larger fraudulent system the government has been involved in for decades against the general public. And that system utilises the unregulated Companies House registration system and forged bank documents. Now, this article is from today. Fujitsu is a company that designed the Horizon IT system in relation to Royal Mail scandal. Now we're going to look at Companies House records here in relation to this company. It's the first one I looked at in relation to Fujitsu, and I urge you all, please go and look at this yourself. You can type in this company into Companies House records and look at everything I'm going to show you. I've just screenshot it and scaled it into a document to make it easier for you to see with the facilities I have. But you go and look at this. So you can see that it was incorporated in 1915. Now, if you go onto the front page and then scroll down, you'll get to this section here on the same page, and this is where companies, the previous companies names they've traded under should be listed. And the very first one at the bottom should always be their incorporation name when they started the company. So you can see they've got one here, International Computers Holdings Limited, in 1915. However, the incorporation document from 1915 is completely different. This is the name, Accounting and Tabulating Corporation of Great Britain Limited. Completely different. Now remember, Companies House have seen this document to be able to input it onto the system, but they've decided not to. Not only that, but you've got another document here, 1936, you can see. All right, same company name. However, again, neither of those names were the same name. That's not been registered with Companies House. That means the company should not be trading because it's not been registered correctly. Companies House would know that. The company no doubt would know that, and yet it's been allowed to happen. Someone has looked at these documents and deliberately put different names in. But there's nothing in relation to 1936 anyway. You can see. Not only is there not a name, there's not even any dates for 1936. So this is deliberate. Now, at the bottom of this form, importantly, which I only found out fairly recently, actually. Hopefully you can see this. Why is it not zooming? You can see Jordans and Sons Limited. Now, if you watch my other videos, you'll see that most companies, in relation to this fraud, come back to this company, Jordans and Sons Limited. So, let's move on. So, this is where my research overlaps with David Cameron. So, I'd already done this research now that I'm going to show you. And this is Wikipedia, and it says Cameron's administration also privatised Royal Mail. Okay, now let's look at Royal Mail Group. Now, they were incorporated in 2001, or this particular company of Royal Mail, and they had a original name according to this of Trushelfco number 2758 Limited. Now, this in itself is an issue because Companies House own guidelines say that they shouldn't allow two companies with very similar names to be trading at the same time. However, they have allowed government-affiliated companies to trade under not only one, but there's thousands of companies where they just changed the number within this bracket. The rest of it stays the same. So you can see what an issue this might cause, because if that's an 8 now, if you have a company with a 6 or a 9, it's almost identical. It's very easy to get those companies mixed up and mistaken for each other. And yet Companies House, and therefore the government, because don't forget Companies House is a government-related organisation, as I understand it, has been allowing this to happen. Anyway, on to a more serious, a more poignant issue, really. Looking at the incorporation document here, you can see there's a company called Slaughter and May on the bottom. Okay. Now, that was, as you can see, in 2001. And again, you can see Slaughter and May here. Now, Slaughter and May, I understand, are one of the largest solicitors firms in the world. There's also 2 other companies on the bottom. It zooms. It focuses in. You can see there, Trucidata Nominees Limited and Trexico Limited. So we'll look at those in a minute as well. So Slaughter and May that we've just mentioned, let's have a little look at them. So Slaughter and May Limited was incorporated in 1954. This should be their incorporation name. Crusader Properties Limited in 1954. But of course it's not, because that would be too legitimate. So here you can see 1954, but it's a completely different company name of AUI Holdings Limited. Okay, so Companies House have looked at this document and deliberately chosen not to put that company name on there. Please ask yourself why. Why would they do that unless they're trying to hide something? This is very, very serious. Not only that, on the bottom here, you've got another company called this comes up a lot in the fraud. Hopefully you'll see my videos. The Solicitors Law Stationery Society Limited. Now, obviously, this document is from 1954. When you search that company, it comes up with this company. And as you can see down here, they were, in fact, called the Solicitors Law Stationery Society Limited, but only from 1989 to 1999. Well, that document is from 1954. So that means that that is now showing advertising a company that is not even registered with Companies House. Now, for a company to trade, it has to be registered with Companies House. If it's a limited PLC or LLP company, it has to be registered with Companies House to be able to trade lawfully. And yet here we are, we've got a company advertised as trading, because they can't be putting their document, their company name on a document for another company unless it's trading. That's advertising, isn't it? Yet here we are, that has been allowed to happen, and they are not even registered with Companies House. Okay, it's very, very serious. This is all very deliberate. Now, I've been speaking to, this is the incorporation for that company. In fact, we'll mention that actually, which is on other videos anyway. So Waterloo Supplies, you can see the original name was Cabinetry Limited. Now, if you look at this document here, you can see Cabinetry Limited. Now, this name here, Sundar Mansukani, features frequently, but importantly, also features on Max Clifford's companies. Now, you hopefully all know Max Clifford. He's a convicted sex offender who suspiciously died in prison prior to going to a court case. This name is all over his company documents. You'll also see this name constantly, this address constantly. Stephen Cox also frequently pops up throughout this fraudulent system. So I just thought I'd show you that. But yeah, I spoke to Companies House, sorry, not Companies House, HMRC quite a lot recently in relation to all of this, and confirmed on a recorded call, according to them today, with them, that taxpayers' money should not be paid if it is being used in crime in any way. Now, if this is crime and it's being used for taxpayers' money, and it is. So just for starters, Waterloo is a company, not this, but another Waterloo linked company, is the company that was used in relation to the Betsy Cadwallader fraud, where £122 million of taxpayers' money disappeared. Have a look at it yourself. I think it was in 2022. All of the documents for that, you will see on my video, for the health video that I'm doing, they're all clearly forged documents. Okay, and that is taxpayers' money. That's our money. It's being used in crime. It's being defrauded from the public through this criminal process. And it is a criminal process if documents are being altered, registers are being altered. I'm all for paying my taxes, and I have all my life. But at the other end of this, there's people suffering. Okay, because if the tax money is not going back into society, people are having to pay more money. It's also linked to wars, because this money is being used to fund wars, which is then creating more money, fraudulently obtained money, through this system to go into the pockets of MPs and others and large conglomerate companies that are not even lawful companies, by the way. So the whole thing is a crime. So you can't pay taxpayers' money into crime. In fact, to do so, you would be complicit to a crime yourself if you're doing so, having evidence that it's being used in a criminal process. you're actually complicit to that crime. So you therefore have that defence of not paying. This alone, what I've shown you today, without all of the other stuff, is enough evidence to withhold taxpayers' money. If that is what's going to compel the government to change, then that is what needs to happen. Because the only other way to change what they're doing is through violence, and nobody wants that. It doesn't have to involve violence. It involves overwhelming evidence being exposed to everybody, or as many people as we can, and then on the back of that, refusing to pay taxes temporarily, hopefully, until they put a system in place. It's very easy to put a system in place to prevent all of this. You fully regulate all companies with Companies House. Verify identities of everyone. This wouldn't happen. You verify addresses, verify names, verify details. It takes quick checks, doesn't it? Quickly check to make sure a company on their document is actually registered. They could easily do that. They've deliberately not been doing it. They're also, you'll see on other videos, they're actually within the people tab. If you go into them on some companies, it's got 2 names in there identical with same dates of birth, exactly the same names and middle names within the same company. Remember, you click on one, they've got 110 as an example companies linked to them. You click on the other, 510. Well, that's the same person clearly, so they should be on the same record. Companies House have deliberately done that, and that's probably to hide companies, to allow fraudulent activity through those companies. It's so overwhelming. It's so gobsmackingly corrupt that it has to stop, because it is linked to most of the world's problems. All the PPE scandals that we're looking at, the Royal Mail scandal, you name it, most things on the news at the moment are all linked to this fraudulent system. The immigration problems we've got, drug trafficking, paedophilia rings, can't speak. Everything is linked to this. It must stop. It must stop. Anyway, God bless.